Hello YouTube, it's Ryan here with Hobbies Man once again, and today we are doing our monthly ramble video. Today I want to talk about Manga Burnout or Manga Burnout. Now this is kind of inspired by a video that Blue Tempest did, which I'll link up there or wherever it is that the card shows up. And thanks for the video idea, but also I think it's a good topic to discuss that maybe most people don't talk about. You know, everyone talks about the addiction to buying manga, right? And the kind of problems that arise with, this obsession and this kind of addiction to manga buying. But no one really talks about what do you do when you're really into a hobby and suddenly that hobby doesn't really provide you as much joy because you're burned out on it. So I am a serial hobby dabbler. So that means that I have 1,000 different interests, and I get into an interest and I go all in. I buy a bunch of stuff, I do a bunch of stuff in it, and then I do so much of it so fast that eventually I'm just tired and I don't want to do it anymore, and so I move on to a new hobby and do the same thing over and over again. And what happens is that eventually, you basically try all the hobbies that you're interested in, and you kind of just rotate through them, and you kind of experience burnout for a specific one, but not necessarily for all of them at the same time. So, being a hobby dabbler is kind of rough, but it's also kind of useful because you can always go back and fall in love with an old hobby again, right? Because you're basically just looking for new ways to spend your free time. So that happens quite a bit. To me, reading has always been my number one hobby. It has always been the thing that I come back to, but I do have other ones, right? I like collecting fountain pens. I like watching television. I like watching sci-fi and fantasy stuff. I don't really like true crime or detective shows or anything like that all that too much, but I do watch them with my parents sometimes, so I do that, right? I really enjoy cooking, and cooking is a hobby that I do every day, but I never really get burnt out on it because I can easily just take a day off and then or a few days off and just buy food from somewhere else, or have someone else cook, and it's okay. But reading definitely is a weird hobby because sometimes you get burnt out and sometimes you get into a funk, right? And there really is no way around it besides pushing through it and continuing to read even if you're kind of tired of it, which is how you get over a reading funk. And the other one is just read something else or do some other hobby for a while. But it definitely depends, right? The way I get around burnout is by reading a bunch of different types of stuff, right? So I don't get manga burnout because I don't only read manga. I read light novels, and I also read Western books, and I also read comic books. And so even though I'm reading, not everything I read feels the same, right? Like manga and comic books, even though they're technically the same basic medium, they're drawings plus, written word, they feel very different. Comic books are in color, manga is in black and white. Manga has a very distinct and much more interesting art style for me, and every mangaka draws differently. And Western comic books have a very standard style that most of them all kind of generally follow. They're in color, and the way that coloring works is actually what provides the differences between a lot of the art, right? And of course, the type of stories that they focus on is different as well. And then add into the fact that I read light novels, which are basically like manga, but also more like novels, is pretty fun. And also I read novels, and usually I read the same genre for all four of them, superhero, science fiction, and fantasy. But, largely SFF, science fiction fantasy, covers the majority of genres, more or less, because the things that define if it's fantasy and fiction or science fiction are the setting of it, not necessarily the plot line of it. Allows me to have a lot of diversity when I read, right? So that's kind of how I get over burnout, or basically by avoiding the problem, by providing myself a lot of different things to read, so I never really get bored of it. But sometimes you still get burnt out even if you read a lot of different things and a lot of different styles, because it's just tough. And this usually happens to me when I'm also doing exams, because exams are basically read the textbook, do a bunch of problems, and then my break time and my free time is also reading. And so reading for work or school and reading for entertainment kind of makes it difficult. And so I don't really, enjoy doing it like that, right? So what I do on those days is just switch to a different thing. I either watch YouTube or I watch, television, or I just do neither and listen to music and just stare at the wall, or I switch over and do Gunpla, or, I'll play video games, even though I'm not very good at them. Sometimes I get the itch to play Minecraft again, and I just start playing Minecraft, or I watch people play video games, which is usually how I enjoy video games the most, because I don't really enjoy the actual activity of playing video games, but I enjoy the story that video games tell. So usually I just watch someone play them, and do whatever other hobby that you like. But Manga Burnout itself is kind of interesting. It's just tough that you're so into something that you do it so much that you get tired of it, right? And it's because you're lacking diversity in your enjoyment, in your entertainment. And there's other reasons as well. Maybe you're just tired of going to the store every week to buy your new bit of manga, or you're tired of the same type of humor or the same type of art style or anything like that. And I think that it's totally okay to have manga burnout or book burnout or whatever burnout that you want to call it. And I think that it's not something that you have to worry about, or something that you have to use as an excuse to do or take drastic measures. Like, if you have burnout, don't use that as like the reasoning to get rid of all your manga, because you're gonna get over that burnout eventually. But maybe burnout is a good time to kind of look at your manga collection and be like, okay, what do I need to get rid of? What does not bring me joy anymore? What is something that I'm a lot more critical of now than I was before? And try to kind of clean out your space and kind of, figure out where it is that you want to take your hobby now that you're kind of burnt out of it a little bit. And so you're kind of not really invested in it as much as you are when you aren't in a burnout mode, right? So I don't know if that made sense. So basically I'm saying that, like, when you have burnout, it's usually because you're tired of the medium. And this is also a perfect time to try to see if all of the stuff that you own in the medium is actually stuff that you really enjoy, or you only enjoyed in the moment because you were just on a roll, right? And this is useful because it can help you deal with your burnout by getting rid and kind of decluttering stuff around your area, around your hobby space, right? So it's actually pretty helpful, and it might help you through the burnout, but also it'll just help you either get some money back if you resell your manga online, or kind of just help you relax a little bit and kind of still engage with your hobby without it having to be something that really tires you out, like reading the manga. So yeah, I think that it covers everything that I wanted to talk about. Ramble videos are unedited, just kind of like stream of consciousness kind of things. So that's how it is. And I think that's all of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. So hopefully this was interesting or maybe helpful if you're someone that's experiencing manga burnout right now and you wanted some advice or some kind of, people that were trying to express what you're feeling right now. And hopefully this helps you. And let me know down in the comments what you guys do to deal with manga burnout, because I haven't really dealt with it right now, but I've also had a lot of time in the last 2 years to kind of just take a break from manga and not have to read it for, a few days for like every day of the year like I would something else. So let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you guys like the video, and like and subscribe and do all of that stuff if you enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and see you guys later.